Hi everybody, it is Robbie from Southern California. Today is coffee time, story time, and this is not on gardening and this is not on hummingbirds, though I am surrounded by hummingbirds. This is on the rocket that was sent off, and I'm going to get into a little recap, and then I'll get into what the authorities called me on yesterday. And I wrote it down on just whatever I had, and I had them repeat it twice. As a lot of you or some of you remember, on January 24th, I came out and I was talking about hummingbirds. I was talking about the fires around here and what was going on with cleanup and what everybody was going through. And while I was standing right here on my deck, something flew by. I didn't even know what it was. I remember even telling you guys, what the heck was that? The noise was so loud, my hair blew forward, all the hummingbird feeders swung, and the birds dispersed immediately. What it ended to be that day, and we found out, or I should say I found out shortly after I put the video together, was a rocket that somebody apparently made, was sent off from the hillside there, came across here. How close it was to me, I don't know, but close enough to blow my hair. Went over the house and headed that way. And believe it or not, that's not the full story. So as you know, let's get through this really quick. You know what, I'm going to tell you the part that really upsets me too. That day, the authorities were called out. Friday. It happened at 3:46 in the afternoon. That rocket was sent off here, 3:46. Authorities were called. They even came out, and we found out that no report was made. I don't know how they get away with it, but from what I understood, there was zero report made on this. Nothing. They must have said they came out, they couldn't find anything, and they left. I don't know what it was all about. That was Friday on January 24th. I stayed up all night and I went through all my cameras. And about 3 o'clock in the morning, I looked at a camera in the bird garden and I thought I saw something at about 3:46 in the afternoon. Something like, it was literally 2 seconds on there, if that, a puff of smoke. Now, Gary and some neighbors went up on the hilltop that Friday looking to see what was shot off. And one of the neighbors, another neighbor, said it was a firework that was big. So they looked and could not find nothing. The issue was they weren't looking in the exact right spot. And I posted the whole video on that. You can go back and see what happened the following day. So 3 o'clock in the morning, I find that. I get up, I'm looking around, and I now know exactly where that thing was shot from. So when Gary got up in the morning, I told him I found it. We went up the hilltop and we found everything. The engine, they call it, all the copper tubing, buttons and wires and everything that was connected to it. We found it, and the burnout. So when it took off, the ground was burned. Now this was still the peak time of our fire season. That was the last day of the very bad weather. We had just been going through so much for weeks. Humidity was single digits that day. So the authorities were called back out on Saturday, and it ended up being the arsenal department, the bomb squad. They came out, they brought a dog, they looked all over, they collected everything, and they said that they were going to get DNA off all the parts that were left there. Okay, that was the end of that. There were a couple little things we found, and we called them, and they came and picked it up. About a week and a half ago, just in talking, because I did let all my neighbors know that day to keep an eye out for any smoke, something, if you smell anything, go look and see, because we never found the exact rocket. The launch site yes, but not the rocket. So about over a week ago, I was told, it goes through so many people, that somebody saw the rocket over there. I said, they found the rocket? And I was told, no, they didn't find the rocket. They saw the guy launching it. I said, no, he didn't launch it from there. He launched it from there. We've got the launch site. Everything was collected by authorities. And I said, nope, they launched it. I said, I need to talk to these people. So Gary and I went down, met with the people. They had photographs and everything. And we've got multiple photographs of cameras from different people from around here. So it worked out really good on the launch site on January 24th at 3:46. So we go meet the people. Their launch site, less than a quarter of a mile. Let's say a quarter of a mile as a crow flies, not as you drive there. They've got a launch site at 3:15. Now, how can you have a launch site at 3:15 when we have one at 3:46? It turned out, collecting evidence as we did, it was the same truck, same guy, same license plate, same everything, had launched a rocket heading this way. So now you've got rocket number 1 coming this way. Rocket number 2, he rushed down with his truck. He went up on the hilltop there and shot it this way. So you got 2 rockets going at each other, but of course the first one would have landed and then the second one landed. So we called the authorities, contacted them, all evidence was turned over. I'm going to be really delicate on this because I have a lot more to say on this, but I want to keep this. I turn over all the evidence, and then I talked to the people a couple days later. I said, so what happened when the authorities came out? And they said they never contacted us. This was about a week ago. Not even. I had called them back, and I said, did you not call the people with the fantastic photos and everything? And they were going to close the case. They said they didn't have enough. They wanted to know if I knew the guy. If I knew the guy. I said, of course not. Does anybody that had photos or saw him knew the guy? Who's going to know this guy? I didn't even understand. I don't even understand to this day. I don't understand a question like that. Then she asked me on launch site number 1, because I'm on launch site number 2. Did he know the guy? No. He was riding a bicycle through there. He bikes. He stopped. He got photos and he saw the guy. He's got great photos. They said, but does he know him? No. And they said at this point they were going to call it. I am not going to give all the information that I know in case of anything in the future. But I can say that I let them know that if I decide to put about 5 to 10 hours of my time into this, I'm going to tell you that I will find this person personally because I have done investigative reporting or investigation before. And I will be able to find this person because of so much evidence that I have on hand. You want to call it and say you can't find him? And you went to a house and he's not there and you don't know anything about it and plates don't match and everything, I'll find him if I decide to take the time to do it. Because I wasn't sure if I really want to do it. I've done all this in the past and I am with other things and I just didn't know. And Gary said, let's get on with our lives. But I kind of left it open. I don't know what happened after that phone call because what they ended up doing is calling the bicyclist that saw the guy shoot off rocket number 1. And then I suddenly get a call yesterday. Meanwhile, I did not go to look for him, though I think I actually know where they live. I get a call yesterday that they're closing the case and they have found the guy that shot the rockets. Now, I'm going to tell you exactly what they told me. It doesn't mean any more than what they told me, and I know you're going to be screaming, some of you. I just grabbed an envelope I had sitting, and I started to write. I had her repeat the story back to me for the second time. Number 1, they're local. They're saying it's a father and son, that the father and son look exactly alike. They informed me that this is a 16-year-old boy. And being that he's 16, they cannot question him without the parent. That the dad is a pastor at a church, and that the son took his truck. The brother of the dad saw the young man, 16, full bearded, with the rockets, and saw him shoot the rockets off. Now, I repeated this back to her with Gary listening. You're telling me the father's brother, which is the uncle, which she corrected back and said the brother of the father. So I don't know. To me, it's an uncle, but let's call him uncle, even though they don't want to refer to him as an uncle, so you'll get the story straight as I'm talking. So the uncle saw him shoot the rockets. I don't know if it's both or one because I couldn't get the story right. I was told both the dad and them live not too far. Apparently, the uncle, the pastor's brother, called the pastor from the church to find out if he knew where his truck was. And apparently, the pastor did not know that his son had taken out the truck and was doing joyriding with rockets. The uncle said he saw the rockets go up. Again, this is what I was told. The uncle also made a statement that he understood this should not be done he actually specifically said because of the fires in Pacific Palisades and the Eaton fires that were going on, that this is not a thing to be doing at this time, and he was concerned, and that's why he called his brother, the pastor from the church. I asked if you spoke to the guy, the young gentleman that was 16 years old with the full beard, and they said no, not as yet, but that this young gentleman is homeschooled and that he took the truck. It was done as a joyride to do this and shoot the rockets off, and no one was a target. Now, I know more things about this truck. There was something really bad about this truck, where I don't think the pastor, but then I'm not real familiar with a lot of pastors. So I said to her, so the pastor does, I don't know if I want to talk about this because this is a big point that I know, and I don't know how much everybody else knew, but I pointed it out to them. I'll just go ahead and say it. So in between the pastor doing his sermons, he goes out and does joyriding and burnouts and does street takeovers with his GoPros all over the truck. And she repeated back to me, this is the story that they've got, and they're going to close the case out. That they're going to make sure this young man of 16 does not take the truck out again to do this, and they'll be keeping an eye out. The family. I really don't know what else to say. I mean, do I believe this story? Do you believe the story? I have since, from the phone call yesterday, know where these people are. It doesn't take much. Get me angry and I will find you. I believe they know the law. So suddenly this young man of 16 is 16. Since they have not talked to the boy himself, I have other theories of what was going on. Will it happen again? Probably not in this area. There's too many things on this that don't make any sense. Information that I have dug up that doesn't fit with this story. And that's all I can really say. I mean, I want to close this out for you because so many of you have come to me. The big problem I've got on this is actually, to be honest with you, not the story on the boy, who looks about 28 to 35 at least in the pictures we've got. Guess he just looks old for his age. This problem I've got is the reporting through the authorities. You had 2 reports, 2 phone calls came in to the same police authorities, let's just say. You had one come in at 3:15 frantically, a rocket has been launched. You had another one come in at about 4 o'clock-ish. I'm just giving it time till it was called in. Same memo. Both of them gave a time, at what time in this area that these rocket things were launched. And those two were never put together. So the dispatch that was handling all this, one of which came out and the other one did not bother. They said they were going to come out and look around on their own. Never put the two stories together to find out that there was 2 crime scenes that day. 2 crime scenes that were called in and nothing done. I don't even know where to go with this. I'm upset about it. I don't understand it. I mean, you would have thought that if something's jotted down, you go, oh, we got a rocket launched at 3:15, a rocket launched at 3:46. Something is not kosher. Nothing was done. So when they came out on Friday, there was no paperwork ever done. When the person that I met who saw the first rocket, nothing was ever logged in. I don't understand that. This is all I can do is tell you. That's the biggest thing that gets to me. Because that seems so simple to put 2 and 2 together. And you would think that if one comes out that something is logged in somewhere, but it was never logged in, apparently. This is what I had been told by somebody else. It was never logged in. So anyways, I'm coming here trying to keep my opinion to myself. I don't know what a good job I'm doing on that. Just to let you know that the way it looks now, nobody was targeted. It was whatever was shot off. I will tell you, they're calling it a bottle rocket. It was not a bottle rocket. This was a full-size rocket. We have a witness that saw the person with it that nobody seems to want to talk to. I don't understand that. But let's just go on. I'm coming to you to close this story out. I think the big thing is nobody got hurt and nobody got killed. And no fire was started. Had there been a fire, had there been somebody severely hurt, then I believe there would have been a whole lot more done. But apparently they may have so much going on and so busy. And of course, a lot of Southern California authorities don't have enough resources to cover everything. So I think this is why they're closing this out, because there's not much else they can do. Nothing happened. There was no damages, and that's what it's coming down to. I mean, you've got so many kids in this area. It could have landed on a child. I did some research on that. It's very scary. But there has been no damages. Let's hope this person of 16 doesn't do this again. I will be watching. I also know where they live, the area, right where they are. There was probably an accomplice that day with them, but I'm not even going to bring that one up because I've got that license plate, not just me, it's a few others. And maybe that was the uncle. If they're calling it an uncle, which they're not calling it an uncle, they're calling it the brother of the pastor. So basically what I've done is given you the story I have been given. It is now closed out. They're going to let the family take care of this boy. And that's it. Like I said, it would have been a whole different story if there was a fire. Look at the drone that was set up at Pacific Palisades. They found the person that was flying a drone around that day because they were determined to find that person. They're not determined to do anything at this point because, again, there were no damages. And when there's damages, they go full force. I understand that. When there's no damages, they kind of look the other way. So I'm going to say I believe everybody did their jobs. I do believe they want to write this off, so they're going to take this story, and that's what I'll call it. I call this a story because you know the laws. You know, if he was 18, now they got to press charges. If he was this, they got to do that. So by keeping it at 16, joyriding, carrying around bottle rockets, it was not a bottle rocket, shooting them off in different directions, but nobody got hurt, they're going to end it. So I wanted to just kind of end this with you and tell you, am I frustrated? I am frustrated. Some of my neighbors are really frustrated. Some of them are completely floored. Some want to just take this everywhere. At this point, I don't know. At this point, I'll keep everything I've got. I'll keep an eye out to the best I can. We are here all the time, and let me tell you something. We know pretty much everything what's going on. The hummingbirds keep me here. Somebody asked me the other day, oh, have you taken a ride to see this? And no, you know, it's very hard to get out of here because I'm literally at certain times of the year putting out 4 or 5 gallons of food a day, and they go through all the feeders, and sometimes it doesn't take much. 1 or 2 feeders could run out and they go into hysterics because they want that feeder. You know, you may have 1,000 of them feeding over here or 1,000 feeding there, but whoever's feeding out of that one, I'm just using that as an example, or this position or this feeder, they want that feeder. So I have to make sure and try to watch and try to keep all the feeders full. Of course, I got to take a break. I've got to work in the garden. I've got other stuff. I've got work to do. But this is our life right now, and I don't know. I know somebody that does hummingbirds not far from here, and I asked her how she do it, and she told me she hired a maid. Well, good for her. I can't afford that. No, I probably could find people that would love to do it, but then after a while, it's like, oh, do I really want to be doing this for the rest of my life? So, anyways, that's what I did. I wanted to make sure everything was jotted down. I believe I told you everything that was told to me, and I can't think of anything else. He's homeschooled. I told you all that. They need to talk to the guy with the parent, but I believe they closed it out yesterday without talking to him. I think they know, because I did come back and say, you do know this is a story that is absolutely untrue. And the answer back to me was, we can only go by with what we were given. And that's what they're going to do right now. Again, nobody got hurt. There were no fires that day. And that is the only thing that is saving whoever did this. But if somebody got hurt, I guarantee you they would have picked this person up. I guarantee you if somebody got hurt, I would have found them. So anyways, that's it. I hope you're having a beautiful day. We don't have to talk about rockets anymore or anything. It's just that it's so odd that I would find out there's 2 exact rockets that came across here. Unfortunately, when I found out, all my cameras had cycled through. Otherwise, I would have been able to get onto my cameras had somebody said, hey, by the way, did you know a rocket went over through here at 3:15 the same day? I would have been on my cameras to see if anything was spotted. But we have an idea. We know where it landed, too, on one of them. So are we going to hike through and look for it? I don't think so. By now, the family could have gone and collected it. Because that's one thing we never found was the actual rocket, though we had people see it and all that. Anyways, that's it. I'm just sitting out here and enjoying a beautiful day. I made some cake. I have coffee. And I thought I'd come out here and say hello. Hope you're all having a wonderful day and end this rocket story once and for all. Is it the true story? It's just the only story I've got now that I can give you. Oh my gosh, this is so good. This is so easy to make. I'm so rude. I don't know if any of you know this, but Gary and I are gluten-free. And no, it's not for a fad or anything. It's actually because I have arthritis in my hands. It didn't start with me. It started with Gary. I've told the story. And I was trying to cook for him because he found out his skin cleared up. He used to break out all the time. Nothing anymore. All his asthma, I shouldn't say his asthma. He had a swelling. He had no sense of smell. When he gave up gluten, everything that was probably swollen in his sinuses went down and he could smell. I've told the story about having the gas company out in the middle of the night because jasmine were flowering and he thought it was gas because he had never smelled gas before. And then he felt good, and that it got so hard to be cooking for him separate that I decided it's just easier to just go gluten-free. And when I did, here my hands were so sore and the joints were all swollen in both my pinkies. And I would do things, and the doctor said there's nothing they can do. It's just arthritis in your hands. When I went gluten-free, I don't even have that anymore. And plus many other things. I have a bad knee, but can't do much about that. I hurt my knee when I was a kid. But all in all, I mean, I deal with that. But everything else, there were other things that went with it. I just feel better. So it creates... it's like if you're allergic to something, you might get some swelling in your joints and stuff. I don't have any of that anymore. And the doctor actually went for a checkup, said I'm gluten sensitive. She wanted to know if I wanted to go for a celiac test. I said, no, I'm not celiac. But they did come up with I'm gluten sensitive, which really does help. So I just keep gluten out. But can I eat cake? You would never know on anything I cooked. Nothing I cook, if you wouldn't believe it's gluten free, because I'm just changing around things I do. This is a coffee cake. It's made from Aldi's cake mix, and then boy, can you make a lot from that. Aldi's has a gluten free one. I made a coffee cake with a beautiful crumb topping. I make cookies out of it, all kinds of cookies, sugar cookies, ginger cookies. There's so much you can do. How in the world do we get on the subject of gluten free when we're talking about rockets? If you're gluten free and you want to know more, let me know. Sorry. So we're done with that. I just thought we would sit out here and enjoy such a beautiful day. I'm bringing my mic because you know, some of you, that if I put a wireless mic on me, it crackles. I seem to have electrical interference with it, so I got myself a hard-wired mic. Unfortunately, it picks up a lot of the sounds, so you're going to hear the hummingbirds and stuff, but until I can stop giving off so much electricity, and maybe when I get upset, it makes it, more, or aggravated about something. So we'll see what happens with that. So everybody, have a beautiful, wonderful day. I know the hummingbirds here are just flying around me, as you can see. They're all over the place. And they came in, due, not just because of the fires. We've had thousands here before, but due to the fires, they've lost a lot of the habitat that they go to, so they found other areas. And so this batch found here. And do they go around in groups like some birds do? They stay in flocks? No, they don't. But they hear, and they can hear other buzzing and the birds singing, and, the hummingbirds doing their thing, and they can tell they're rejoicing. So they come down here too, and they feed too. So with that, have a wonderful day, and don't forget to eat what you grow. Bye-bye. Oh, good coffee and cake. I should eat out here more often. Let's hope the camera did not go off. And I am taking my cake with me. And my coffee.